Hello, welcome in. Today we will be practicing yin style, a more traditional yin style practice specifically to nourish the heart meridian. So we'll be working a lot with upper body, chest, some spine extensions, and the shoulders. I really recommend to have blocks or books. If you've got a bolster, great, but as you all know, pillows work just as well. We'll definitely be calling on those friends throughout the practice together today. So go ahead and get yourself settled, and you can pause if you'd like. Once you're ready, hit play, and we're gonna roll. We're gonna roll into stillness. All right. So once you're ready and you've got your equipment, you're all nice and set up, you can come into a seat. We'll begin our practice together there. I like to have my hips on a meditation cushion so the hips are a little higher than the knees, but you can certainly sit right down to the earth or even in a chair as we start here. And go ahead and bring your hands, palms down over your heart, your energetic heart center. So at the center of your chest. Want to tune into the heart's energy as we begin. If it feels safe for you, you're very welcome to close the windows of your eyes. This heart energy, both in traditional Chinese medicine as well as Ayurvedic medicine, as well as in our chakra system, the subtle body associated with love and joy, compassion, and a sense of community and peace. When it's balanced, we really experience a sense of warmth and emotional clarity. But if it's a little sticky, a little blocked, a little cloudy, we might experience things like sadness, anxiety, restlessness. So, this practice will encourage us to come back home to the balanced heart. The heart meridian runs from the anatomical heart through the armpits, then down the lengths of your inner arms into your little fingers. So, this practice, this sequence will really target these areas in order to lift up, to enhance the heart energy, emotional harmony, and also our circulation, right? And forget um, the more gross functions associated with the anatomical heart. Take a last moment here to feel into some self-compassion. And also, if you haven't already, listen into the sound, the song of your anatomical heart. See if you can find the beat, the thud. And then very gently, and rest your hands down away from your heart. And we'll transition to our first shape for the practice. So, melting heart is where we're going. If you're already familiar, I always encourage people to find the setup that works best for them. That could mean cushioning the floor, cushioning your knees rather, with a blanket on the floor. It could mean having blocks available. toward the top edge of your mat, either to land elbows or to land your palms onto. So any of those are great options. We're going to start with a more traditional option. So stack your hips up above your knees, and the hips will stay high. So I know it's got like a similar look of child's pose, but that's a really big difference is the hips stay high. And then begin to walk your hands forward. Let your heart melt down to the earth, landing onto your chin or your third eye point, which I won't keep my head down there because then the mic for sure won't pick up what I'm saying. So figure out what's going to work best for you. If this is a little bit too much for cervical spine, resting on the chin, remember that the third eye point is an option. And we're settling in here for about 3.5 minutes. So I always encourage people to take the wiggles and fidgets that are required. Just taking a time check here. In order for you to be at peace in stillness. So 3.5 minutes is a long time. If it feels like a strain after 3.5 breaths, what I always love to say, then 3.5 minutes is really going to feel like a stretch, maybe even an overdoing, right? So you may already be feeling this one in the undersides of your arms and shoulders. If you're feeling like you are looking for a little extra pizzazz, right? This variation with the elbows on the blocks could work for some. And I'll let you know when we're about at the midway point if you want to shift the edge that you're feeling. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's the heart is referred to as the emperor of the system. So it's actually considered to be what governs the mind and not the other way around. So the mind, they consider that the mind is actually governed by the heart. And I love that. See if you can direct your breath awareness right into your heart. And we're about at the midway point of our first posture. So if you'd like to experience something different with your edge, this is a good spot to adjust. They say when at peace, an emperor rules wisely, but when disturbed, the mind will be restless. The mind will be out of hand when there's not peace for the emperor. Tune into your breath. Particularly challenging are those quiet moments in yin where the mind might want to just jump right overboard. You'll always have your breath to anchor onto. And in this class, I recommend you focus on sending that breath awareness right to your heart, right to the emperor. 3 more unhurried cycles of breath to go. And with your next inhale, you can hover your elbows, start to walk your hands slowly up. This space between the postures, we always want to move with a lot of awareness and really slow for those long holds. You might take a seat back onto your heels if that's comfortable. You can also absolutely take a block if you want to elevate your hips. Taking a simple moment here for observation. Watch anything that wants to shift in the space between the postures. And then go ahead and slide your hips down to one side. You can sneak your feet toward the front now. I'll show facing the camera in case it's not obvious from the side, but we'll come into a butterfly type shape for this next form, which means feet will be together in the middle and the knees will be out wide. But we're going to add in some support, and there's a couple different ways you can do this. The first is you can take a bolster or a pillow behind you. I'm actually going to show this variation where it's propped up on my meditation cushion. You could also prop it up on blocks so it's a little bit higher, right? And this is going to come right toward my low back. So this is option A. We'll take it as a reclined posture. Option B for folks that um, maybe extensions are more common, more frequent in your practice, you could actually take the bolster the short way across your mat, which will lead to um, a little bit more intensity in the extension, in the back extension. So check that one out if you like. Okay. And then the last thing that might be useful information is that the blocks can be great underneath the outside of your knees for folks that the inner thigh edge is just not working for you. Okay. So feel free to grab any of those options, give and take what works for your practice, and then go ahead and sink back onto the support. Allow your arms to soften down nice and long. You want to let your shoulders and your elbows and your wrists and your hands be very heavy. So notice if there's any unnecessary, um, perhaps habitual activation, like if the fingers are really wide or the elbows are hovering and the arms are active, let everything get really heavy. We'll be approximately 4 minutes here. This one, of course, also bringing in the kidney meridian. We get into that inner thigh area, but also a beautiful but gentle opener for the heart. So there's many people for which those extreme back bends and extensions, the wheels, the bow poses are not working for their form. And this can be a very gentle way to get all of the nourishing benefits of a back bend of an extension in a way that also offers you really deep self love, really great nourishing, nurturing. It is without force. That's the nature of the yin practice. Nothing is forced. We have our friends, time and gravity that do a lot of the work for us. You're about at the midway point of this shape. So if you would like to adjust the edge in any way, that could mean perhaps lying flat all the way down to the earth. It could mean inviting your knees together toward midline if that edge or sensation is simply too much. Otherwise, stay exactly as you are. Again, just offering a place for checking in if the mind has wandered. And particularly earlier on in the practice, those gaps for silence, vital to the in practice, can feel like very agitating for the mind. This is why we call this the practice of meditating in shapes, anchoring back to your breath, to your heart, to the moment. And take 3 more unforced cycles of breath. And then with your hands, without hurrying, help guide your knees together at midline and go ahead and walk your feet out a little bit wider. So feet are wide and knees touch together at midline. Pause here in a very subtle opposite action. Give yourself that precious space to observe that the inner workings of you. There's so many times in our lives where we don't give, due respect or observance of those in between spaces. And yoga is a really great time to work to cultivate that practice, particularly yin. We so easily can skip right over those transitional moments, which are within themselves so profound. So, in the next breath or two, and heel toe step your feet back towards center. Take a press into your palms and elbows and slowly invite yourself back to and through a seat is where we're heading. Keep your blanket or your pillow or bolster nearby. I'll show a supported and an unsupported variation of this next posture. You can roll up and over feet and ankles, or of course, sweep them on around behind you. Take your legs out long at the back. Rest your bolster or pillow just under your armpits. We want to make sure it's like toward the top edge of your ribs, not low towards your waist. And then stack your elbows underneath your shoulders. So, of course, you can surmise we're heading towards Sphinx pose. This is the like uber supported variation again for someone who's looking for a softer edge or for any practitioners that extensions are not an appropriate part of your practice or strong extensions for any reason. So you can take a block or even stack blocks. You can rest your head. Some folks even like to rest hands and then head here, right? So it's a really soft extension. If you prefer, you can keep your head lifted. You can also take your hands a little wider and hover your elbows, going from Sphinx to seal. So this is someone who wants to turn the juice up on your on the intensity of your extension, right? And of course, any of these options can be done without the support of a bolster or a pillow. So if you haven't already settled in, take the next 2 or 3 breaths trying on those variations, and then get yourself into a place of stillness. Another one for really expanding the chest, the heart center, the heart and lung meridians that both run along the arms, particularly if you're in that seal variation, a little extra boost. This is activating the fire element, which is helping us to cultivate those qualities of warmth and vitality, qualities that emanate from the spiritual heart. And so, as we know from both Chinese medicine and from Ayurvedic medicine, when the fire element is balanced, we get this beautiful, luminous way of connecting. We feel that sense of connection and purpose, of drive, of passion. But when the fire is excessive, it can really lead to burnout, a stress, adrenaline. We're looking for balanced fire, a softness. Just about 2 minutes remaining here. As a simple check-in point. Make any adjustment needed and then settle back toward meditative stillness, characteristic of our yin practice. Take 3 last breaths without shifting. The shift, the transition comes after that third breath. And then you can lift just enough to slide any bolster or pillow out from underneath you and slowly lower all the way down so that your spine can find something neutral. So you can rest your third eye point, allow your arms to find something neutral, perhaps back alongside your ribs, or certainly if it feels better, you can crisscross here. Hover your toes, so take a bend at the knees, and a really slow, unhurried, unforced rock from side to side. And then slow that on down. Welcome your toes back to the earth. Slide your palms in under your shoulders and press on up toward table. And we'll pause there at neutral. See if you can give your navel a little bit of a scoop in. We're not really rounding the back, but just kind of activating the abdomen for a moment to look for neutral. Then reach your left fingertips high so the right hand comes to the center of your mat. On your exhale, thread your left arm all the way under your right. First, thread the needle. Rest on down to your outer left shoulder. You can leave right palm right here. You can wrap your right arm around your low back as an option. Another upper body variation is to take your right fingertips up and overhead. So, of course, different actions Each one is a different action with your shoulder, with your right shoulder. So find the one that feels best, most supportive for you. We're 3 minutes per side here. Make sure that although you're resting down onto one ear, onto your left ear, your neck spine is still, you're still experiencing some length through your neck spine. So try not to be crunchy in that area. So again, getting this work through shoulders, arms, upper back. This is the home of that fire of the heart. And the heart is in TCM is paired with the small intestines. That's the yang partner of the yin heart. And interesting is that the small intestine is said to filter truth from falsehood. So thoughts or logic from emotions. It acts as a filter, which is very interesting when we think of the heart as being the emperor that's ruling the mind. And then the small intestine there is its partner to help filter. Like, yeah, but what's mind and what's heart, right? What's emotion and what's logic? It's interesting coupling. We're about halfway through on this side. Go ahead and begin your final 3 cycles of breath without hurrying and without allowing that cue to jump you mentally into what's next. Stay really present with what is. As you come into your next breath, press your right palm beyond your nose. If your arm's not already in that position, you can adjust that and untangle. Allow your left palm to land. If there's some sort of a movement that feels neutralizing, feel free to take it. And then we're going to land in that neutral spine once again for breath or two. So it's like a little tuck in with the navel without too much of a press away into the mat. Hips are hovering above your knees. The only real effort is the abdomen here, just drawing back to support your spine. And then allow your left palm to stay planted to the center of the mat this time and your right fingertips to float high. Thread all the way under left arm this time until you come to outer right shoulder. Same options for your left arm. Could be a wrap around your low back if you like that position for your shoulder. It could be a reach on your fingertips up and overhead. It could be a rest of your palm into the earth just beyond the tip of your nose. So make sure it's a place where you can settle for 3 full minutes in relative stillness. I mean, there is what is perfect stillness. I'm not sure if that actually exists, but in relative stillness and, you know, working to find a sense of peace and ease, even though the posture might feel edgy. There could be a lot of sensation. Again, can scan your system and notice any areas of unnecessary effort, of gripping, of sticking, of habitual tension or effort. Where am I holding that sort of, cosmic junk that might be blocking my ability to, tap into this energy of giving and receiving love? That's the real gift of the heart center. So where am I holding and gripping rather than coming into this receptive place for nourishment? You can fill your cup. Just about a minute left to go on this second side. And begin your 3 cycles of breath that bookend the posture, give you a subtle form of saying goodbye before we transition to what's next. And then land your left palm just beyond your nose, untangle back to table, to that neutral form, a little draw in of your navel. The subtle activation of the tummy, of the abdomen, really helps to neutralize the spine. And then go ahead and rest your sits bones back towards your heels. You can sneak your feet around to the front. And once again, we're coming toward a supported extension. And so if you like that slightly more restorative feel of a bolster, you're going to take the same form we just took with our reclined butterfly form. If you'd like something that has a little bit of an edgier feel, particularly into the supportive tissue around your spine, you can take the support with blocks by taking one to the tallest height and one to the middle height. And then, of course, you'll adjust once you come down onto them. So I'll demonstrate it with blocks. I personally, those that have practiced with me a long time and know me, I personally always prefer the cushier restorative form. But I will demonstrate on the blocks so that you're aware where they should land. Okay, so this time around, we're lengthening out the legs. This is a supported fish posture. You can let your hands find the lower block, and that should land to about mid-thoracic. So for me, that lands like just a little bit below the lowest edge of my scapula, of my shoulder blade. And then I reach back and find the tallest block and make sure that it lands in a way that my head feels fully supported and I don't feel like I need to do work or strain in the muscles of the neck in order to stay balanced here. So make sure the weight of your head is really supported so you can settle down and then really soften across the chest, across the tops of your shoulders. Upper arms are heavy, elbows are heavy, forearms are heavy, wrists and hands are heavy. Again, if you have tried out that block variation and it feels like a bit too much of an edge, um, you've got that softer variation waiting for you with a pillow or a bolster. So find what works best. About 5 minutes in this form. So really important you find something that promotes your ability to be in stillness. And then make sure the tops of your thighs are nice and soft. When that happens in my body, the big toe edges kind of open upward toward the sky. So you might find something like that. If you're actively pointing or flexing the toes, see if you can soften. This one's really great for that. That vital practice of heart softening. There are so many things that anyone can experience through the day, through a life lived, right? That can lead to contracting, constricting, protecting, closing, hardening that space around the energetic heart. And so these postures and learning to work with the element of the heart, the meridian of the heart, are so important for um, breaking through that, everyday sludge and remembering that soft blossom that resides there at the center. Rumi says that your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. I love that reminder. Your task is to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. When we're in that practice, the need to seek, to strive for love seems to dissolve when we can learn to break down the barriers instead. We've got a few more minutes here if anyone is in need of an adjustment or a shift in any way. Take three more very deeply present breaths. And then go ahead and flip your palms face down if not already there. Press into your hands, your elbows. Walk on up toward a tall seat. Just one transition left to make, and that is toward Shavasana. So if you like to have a bolster or pillow under your knees, you can find that. Of course, I always like to invite those that prefer a seated meditation as a landing point for integration for the practice to head there. Perhaps elevate your hips. If down in Shavasana, make sure you're comfortable and cozy. Maybe grab a blanket. Soften so that your joints can be heavy and supported. And invite yourself all the way down into the earth to this final landing point. And as you soften either into a seated meditation or down onto the earth, I invite you to imagine a really soft golden light radiating from the very center of your heart, your energetic heart, very center of your chest. And allow that light to expand out, embracing your entire being. You can follow its expansion, perhaps in your mind, as it grows to radiate the touch, to embrace those who might be around you, perhaps in the room or in the house. And send out this nourishing light from your heart to those in your community, your province or state, and on and on and on as far as you would like to follow a beautiful radiating heart light of yours. And this practice today and working with the heart meridian is a work for promoting a type of emotional openness in balance, as well as one of really tapping into self-compassion and self-love. Remember, as Rumi said, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. This is the beautiful practice of hanging out with the heart meridian. If you'd like to take a nice extended Shavasana today, if you have time and space and desire for it, I encourage you to stay as you are. For those ready to transition out and seal the practice together, you can start to lengthen each end of your breath and watch those little micro movements that are invited into your system through a lengthened breath. And then wiggle your fingers. Wiggle your toes. Rock your head from side to side. If you're seated, maybe some neck rolls or body rolls that are gentle. And then for those down on the earth, go ahead and take a roll to your favorite side. Maybe a big full body stretch precedes that. And press yourself up toward a final seat where we can seal the practice with one another. And I come in here to seal the practice with all of you. So you can land in a seat that's comfortable for you. And if you'd like to bring your palms over your heart, just as we began, tap into that radiating warmth from your heart. Or if it feels more natural, you can rest your hands into your lap or any gesture or mudra that feels best for you. Perhaps you'd like to let your head rest low. As always, I love to finish practice with a silent gesture of gratitude sent first and foremost inward to your very own heart, and then extending outward, thanking this practice itself, its invitation into stillness, into self-reflection and self-study. And I thank each of you for joining me today. I wish you all a very beautiful, opened heart remainder to your day. Thank you so much for joining in, and I'll see you all again, hopefully very soon. Bye for now.